short in my light. If I even jostle it a tiny bit, it goes off.
That's annoying. My new power cord is a bit like that for my laptop. It works, which the old one didn't, so that's a good start, but it has to be in the precisely right location. Otherwise it stops charging. So yeah, that's been a bit of a learning curve.
Yeah. I swapped out my I have this this rig is the extension cords, and they go up to there and then they come down, and then the light cord and stuff that keeps them off the floor so I don't have to worry about tripping over them, which I used to do. But the extension cord was getting weak, and so the weakness of the cord and the weakness of the light itself were yeah, it was like breathe wrong and no night.
Yeah, it seems like a good time to replace some things.
Yeah. Oh.
Also, in case you didn't see, normally I make a big deal of it, and this time we were mid-sentence, so.
What?
We're live.
Hi! Hello, interwebs. I have missed you. Not much, though, because I haven't been away.
Oh.
Oi.
All right. So, when we left off,
yes.
Baron and Luthien had stared at each other for a while like idiots, because that's how you fall in love in Tolkien's world.
That
and
is.
Then, and then she brought him home to her family, and her dad was kind of a tool and told him to go get a Silmaril, and then her mom was like, that was a bad plan, dude. And that's where we're at.
Like, you just cemented the fate on the wrong side, my love.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're now living in the mirror universe.
Because as we have discussed once or twice, the subtitle of the Silmarillion is Why Not Silmarils?
Why not Silmarils? This is why.
This is why. This whole book explains why not.
Why not?
Anywho.
Avoid at all costs. Don't go in there!
It is told in the Lay of Leithian that Beren passed through Doriath unhindered, and came at length to the region of the Twilight Meres and the fens of Sirion. And leaving Thingol's land, he climbed the hills above the falls of Sirion, where the river plunged underground with great noise. Thence he looked westward, and through the mists and rains that lay upon those hills he saw Talath Dirnen, the guarded plain, stretching between Sirion and Narog. And I have the hiccups. And beyond. This is sorry in advance. And beyond, he descried afar the highlands of Tauren Faroth that rose above Nargothrond.
Good old Nargothrond.
Yes, we know where all of those things are. It's a completely accurate mental picture of where the fuck in Beleriand he is.
Incidentally, it wasn't Nargothrond, because I got that clear that it was in part of the land that had fallen in the ocean later. But when I read about Menegroth, the Thousand Caves, I was like, oh, this is in Mirkwood. This is the underground castle in Mirkwood. And it's not. It's also in lands that sunk. So, like, Menegroth and Nargothrond and Gondolin, they're just gone. You can't visit anymore.
They also sound vaguely like... They kind of sound like orc names. I'm not gonna lie.
Like
exactly. If you told me that Nargothrond had attacked the Kingdom of the Elves, I would believe you.
Not Gondolin, though. That sounds like something you play while you sing the Lay of Leithian.
Yes.
Let me just whip out my trusty Gondolin.
Let's see.
Yeah, we know where all of these places are, and we now have a map in our heads.
And being destitute, without hope or counsel, he turned his feet thither. Upon all that plain, the elves of Nargothrond kept unceasing watch, and every hill upon its borders was crowned with hidden towers. Okay, quick question.
How do you hide a tower?
On top of a hill! How does that work?
big duck blinds, okay?
They're just painted, camo, and you pretend you can't see them.
AstroTurf.
What? And he specifically said it's not like they're hidden behind a hill, because he specifically says they're crowned with hidden towers. So it's like a hill crowned with.
Maybe they have cloaking technology.
Maybe they put a blanket over it. Just like yeah. Okay. So somehow they managed to hide a freaking tower on top of a hill.
They did. Because
and
they're
through all
magic.
And through all its woods and fields, archers ranged secretly and with great craft. Their arrows were sure and deadly, and nothing crept there against their will. Therefore, ere Beren had come far upon his road, they were aware of him, and his death was nigh. But knowing his danger, he held ever aloft the ring of Caligund. I'm sorry, hang on. He's just walking. He's walking through there like, but like not here,
off, right?
up here.
It off and holding it like this. Please don't shoot me.
He's weird. And though he saw no living thing because of the stealth of the hunters, he felt that he was watched, and cried often aloud, I am Beren, son of Berahir, friend of Felagund. Take me to the king. So he's just, from his perspective, he is walking through a completely empty field, waving his hand over his head and yelling his own name.
And forest, because it said that the hunters something trees.
Yes, wherever he is. It's not really clear actually if he's in the trees or the fields or what, but
right. The plain. Yeah. No, as far as he's concerned, that's what he's doing, yeah. Which takes balls. I love it.
I mean,
it's a bit like singing show tunes really loud in bear country, you know? Which is I've done.
Fair enough. Therefore, the hunters slew him not, so it worked.
It did.
So, like, it's not stupid if it works.
And I didn't get eaten by a bear.
And you didn't get eaten by a bear.
It's not stupid if it works, you're right.
But assembling, they waylaid him, and commanded him to halt. But seeing the ring, they bowed before him, though he was in evil plight, wild and wayworn. And they led him northward and westward, going by night, lest their path should be revealed. Okay, this is not going to be the most focused reading session, because as it's talking about how Beren looks super like wild and wayworn, did we ever talk about the comic about Boromir showing up to the Council of Elrond after traveling in the wilds for like 3 months?
No, but he does make a point of saying it was 100 days.
Yep. So after 100 days, there is a cartoon where Boromir busts down the doors of not Minas Tirith. What is my brain?
Rivendell.
Rivendell, thank you. I was just reading too many things about Nargothrond. Anyways, so he busts down the doors of Rivendell. He's got a raccoon on his head. And there's a whole series of him just like going through the entire rest of the journey with the raccoon on his head, but he doesn't talk about it. He's like the duck man from Bracket.
Oh my god, I just learned yesterday that that's a bilingual joke.
It is?
The French word for duck is canard. It is also the word for an unfounded rumor.
Terry?
Yeah. That's what I said.
Get back here. I just want to talk.
Whip out the Ouija board.
He would not answer a Ouija board, let's be real.
Oh, God, no.
Anyway, so now I'm picturing Beren with a raccoon on his head was going to be my point.
I'm picturing him as the guy from the opening of Flying Circus that says "It's." That's Beren. Yeah.
Which makes it even funnier that Luthien fell in love with him.
She's got a type. She's surrounded by clean-cut elves every day. This guy shows up with a raccoon on his head, and she's like,
For at that time there was no ford or bridge or over the torrent of Narog before the gates of Nargothrond. But further to the north, where Ginglith joined Narog,
where
the junction
what?
of Ginglith and Narog.
Have you seen? Speaking of things joining, sorry about this for a non sequitur, but have you seen the meme that talks about George R.R. Martin's inability to imagine hobbits fucking?
I have seen that meme.
It is.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, and I'm like, yep.
Yep.
13 children,
issue, honestly.
13 children.
I also, and I'm not going to read it out loud on stream for a multitude of reasons, but I have also I have had forced upon my notice an entire essay about elvish anatomy and why it is that human men can have children with elf women, but there hasn't been a case of an elf man having children with a human woman.
I always figured it was just because elf men were hoity-toity.
Well, allegedly there's more to it than that.
Fan theories. They're beautiful. What's she doing?
The food just went, the feeder just went off. So she was informing me that it was her dinner time. Okay, let's see. Where Ginglith joined Narog, the flood was less, and crossing there and turning again southward, the elves led Beren under the light of the moon to the dark gates of their hidden halls. Thus Beren came before King Finrod Felagund, and Felagund knew him, needing no ring to remind him of the King of Beor and of Barahir. Behind closed doors they sat, and Beren told of the death of Barahir and of all that had befallen him in Doriath. And he wept, recalling Luthien and their joy together. I just remembered.
So happy.
I was so happy.
The prettiest person in the world, and I was so happy.
Well, I also just remembered that our headcanon for that was that Luthien was in a glade twerking.
Fuck yeah. That. I
believe we decided it was to the milkshake song. So when he's weeping, he's just
but
like,
in
her milkshake brought me to the yard.
And it was better than yours.
I mean, I think that is definitely true given that we're talking about Finrod here. But Felagund heard his tale in wonder and disquiet, and he knew that the oath he had sworn was come upon him for his death, as long before he had foretold to Galadriel. He spoke then to Beren in heaviness of heart. It is plain that Thingol desires your death, but it seems that this doom goes beyond his purpose, and that the oath of Feanor is again at work. Feanor, goddammit. For the Silmarils are cursed with an oath of hatred, and he that even names them in desire moves a great power from slumber. And the sons of Feanor would lay all the elf kingdoms in ruin, rather than suffer any other than themselves to win or possess a Silmaril, for the oath drives them. And now Celegorm and Curufin are dwelling in my halls, and though I, Finarfin's son,
Finarfin! Of course you're Finarfin's son, because Finarfin's the only sane one.
And though I, Finarfin's son, am king, they have won a strong power in the realm and lead many of their own people. They have shown friendship to me in every need, but I fear that they will show neither love nor mercy to you if your quest be told. Yet my own oath holds, and thus we are all ensnared.
Oh,
Then,
damn.
what? This is why you shouldn't make oaths, people.
Yep.
Things that you should not do if you live in a fantasy world. Make oaths about shit. Number 1. Number 2, claim the law of surprise.
Never do it. Never do it. And that's an oath of sorts too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just don't do the, if you're living in a fictional fantasy realm, don't do the covety grabby thing, because that's that you're the baddie.
That's also true, but even if you're not the baddie, like Finrod is not the baddie, but he made an oath. I don't actually know what oath it is because we skipped that part. But
oh, something to do with helping the blood of Barahir.
That's what I figured. It was an oath of allegiance to the blood of Barahir. So, which seems totally fine and completely great until that comes up against the oath of Feanor. So yeah, just oaths. Not even once.
Don't do it. Just say no.
Just say noth.
Just say no.
Then King Felagund spoke before his people, recalling the deeds of Barahir and his vow, and he declared that it was laid upon him to aid the son of Barahir in his need, and he sought the help of his chieftains. Then Celegorm rose from amid the throng, and drawing his sword, he cried, "Be he friend or foe, whether demon of Morgoth or elf or child of men, or any other living thing in Arda, neither law nor love, nor league of hell, nor might of the Valar, nor any power of wizardry shall defend him from the pursuing hate of Feanor's sons, if he take or find a Silmaril and keep it. For the Silmarils we alone claim until the world ends."
Yeah. So, you suck.
They just suck so bad. Like, why are they like this?
I don't know.
Many other words he spoke, as potent as were long before in Tirion the words of his father, who first inflamed the Noldor to rebellion. And after Celegorm Curufin spoke. And after Celegorm, Curufin spoke. His name is not Celegorm Curufin.
No.
They're two different people.
They're two different guys. They're brothers, which in itself is bad enough.
And he spoke more softly, but with no less power, conjuring in the minds of the elves a vision of war and the ruin of Nargothrond. So great a fear did he set in their hearts that never after until the time of Turin would any elf of that realm go into open battle, but with stealth and ambush, with wizardry and venomed dart, they pursued all strangers, forgetting the bonds of kinship.
Wow.
Thus they fell from the valor and freedom of the elves of old, and their land was darkened.
Nationalism.
Well, nationalism, but also like, okay, hang on a second. But also like he made them so afraid to fight openly that they became self-warriors instead, but they didn't like stop fighting.
Nope.
They just stopped doing it what Tolkien would consider honorably.
Right? But they also did it unnecessarily. They were so afraid of violence that they unleashed it in uncalled for situations.
Yep.
Those people.
And now they murmured that. Yeah. And now they murmured that Finarfin's son was not as a Vala to command them, and they turned their faces from him. But the curse of Mandos came upon the brothers, and dark thoughts arose in their hearts, thinking to send forth Felagund alone to his death, and to usurp, it might be, the throne of Nargothrond, for they were of the eldest line of the princes of the Noldor. And Felagund, seeing that he was forsaken, took from his head the silver crown of Nargothrond and cast it at his feet, saying, "Your oaths of faith to me you may break, but I must hold my bond." Fuckers.
Yeah.
Yet if there be any on whom the shadow of our curse has not yet fallen, I should find at least a few to follow me, and should not go hence as a beggar that is thrust from the gates. there were 10 that stood by him, and the chief of them, who was named Edrahil, stooping, lifted the crown and asked that it be given to a steward until Felagund's return. For you remain my king and theirs, he said, whatever betide. Then Felagund gave the crown of Nargothrond to Orodreth, his brother, to govern in his stead, and Celegorm and Curufin said nothing, but they smiled and went from the halls.
Ha ha ha, just like we planned.
Well, the thing is, like, he has even said, like, we were really good friends, and then in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Like, I didn't even... Yeah.
Like, he has not done anything directly to them to justify any of this. Nope. But the second Silmarils are mentioned, they have no loyalty to anything else.
Which, Tolkien or otherwise, that is dishonorable.
Yeah. That is, like, yeah. By any measure of honor that I've ever heard of.
Yeah. Agreed.
On an evening of autumn, Felagund and Beren set out from Nargothrond with their 10 companions, and they journeyed beside Narog to his source in the falls of Ivrin. Beneath the shadowy mountains they came upon a company of orcs, and slew them all in their camp by night, and they took their gear and their weapons. By the arts of Felagund, their own forms and faces were changed into the likeness of orcs, and thus disguised they came far upon their northward road, and ventured into the western pass, between Ered Wethrin and the highlands of Tar Nufun.
So it happens a fair amount in the Silmarillion, as far as I've been able to ascertain, that elves can shapeshift.
I was wondering about that. I was like, you never hear about that in Lord of the Rings.
No, but they hint that it's still a thing. The whole dressing you in the clothing of our own people, the cloaks that protected them from evil eyes, and I have to wonder if Galadriel's influence was involved in Sam and Frodo passing for orcs in Mordor.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Like,
right?
Because if Finrod knew how to pass for orcs, like, what are they, cousins, I want to say?
She is of the house of Finarfin, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they're definitely pretty closely related. I was trying to remember who her father was, but definitely one of them dudes.
Right.
So yeah, she would have known if he knew.
Yep. And later, Luthien will disguise herself as a witch or a banshee, and she'll disguise Beren as a werewolf, and both of them will pass through the gates of now I can't remember, Morgoth's castle. So yeah, disguised. So it's not just something you can do to yourself. It is like Finrod just did. It's
something you could do to others.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's bothering me. I'm trying to figure out who Galadriel's dad was. Oh, I'll have to look it up later, but yeah, it's something.
Well, she's the daughter of. So she's actually Finrod's sister.
All right. Okay. So definitely then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and Finrod, aka Felagund, has disguised, at this point, he's disguised the entire company, including Beren.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, and it's also interesting to think about what that entails when you consider some of the theories that you and I have had about what makes orcs look like orcs.
Right. The simple corruption.
Yeah.
Of the mind that uglifies the face, because this is a very literal world.
Yep. Okay. So they have gone into the highlands of Tar Nufun.
Yeah.
But Sauron in his tower was ware of them, and doubt took him. For they went in haste, and stayed not to report their deeds, as was commanded to all the servants of Morgoth that passed that way. He can make them look like orcs, but he can't make them good spies. Therefore he sent to waylay them and bring them before him. Thus befell the contest of Sauron and Felagund, which is renowned. For Felagund strove with Sauron in songs of power, and the power of the king was very great. But Sauron had the mastery, as is told in the Lay of Leithian.
Damn it.
Song alert!
Yep.
He chanted a song of wizardry, of piercing, opening, of treachery, revealing, uncovering, betraying. Then sudden Felagund there swaying, sang in answer a song of staying, resisting, battling against power, of secrets kept, strength like a tower, and trust unbroken, freedom, escape, of changing and of shifting shape, of snares eluded, broken traps, the prison opening, the chain that snaps. Backwards and forwards swayed their song, reeling and foundering, as ever more strong the chanting swelled. Felagund fought, and all the magic and might he brought of elviness into his words. Softly in the gloom they heard the birds singing afar in Nargothrond, the sighing of the sea beyond the western world on sand of pearls in Elvenland. Then the gloom gathered, darkness growing, in Valinor the red blood flowing, beside the sea where the Noldor slew the foam riders, and sealing drew their white ships with their white sails. From lamplit havens the wind wails, the wolf howls, the ravens flee, the ice mutters in the mouths of the sea. The captives sad in Angband mourn, thunder rumbles, the fires burn, and Finrod fell before the throne.
Damn it! I was really rooting for you, Finrod.
Me too, but also that's some of my favorite Tolkien poetry I've ever read. My God.
Right? That's powerful. That's some. Whew.
That's also like the entire first part of the Silmarillion into verses.
Right? If you needed a reminder of where we've been, here it is.
Right? Well, and Finrod's like, this is the power and magic of the elves, and Sauron's like, yeah, but the elves fucked each other over.
Here's the corruption of the elves.
Yep, and it broke Finrod's power.
Damn it.
Then Sauron stripped from them their disguise, and they stood before him naked and afraid. But though their kinds were revealed, Sauron could not discover their names or their purposes. He cast them therefore into a deep pit, dark and silent, and threatened to slay them cruelly unless one would betray the truth to him. From time to time they saw two eyes kindled in the dark, and a werewolf devoured one of the companions. But none betrayed their lord.
I fucking hate that. Here you are, all in a dark dungeon together, and Jeff's gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's some ravening, probably some screaming, and then, yep.
Yep.
Are you next?
Are you next? You don't know. There's no way to know. Well, it's like, oh man.
Serious psychological torture there. What?
Yeah. No, for sure. That is exactly what it is, because they're trying to get the ones who are left to be more and more afraid.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what that reminded me of. There was a game I heard about that seemed like one of the games that we would have played, and we're at the end of a section, by the way, so we might read a little bit more, but I want to tell you about this game because it sounds really cool.
Tell.
So it's one you would play like at a summer camp or someplace when it's dark. And what you do is everybody except one person gets in a line, and everybody has their number. And so you start walking, and the person in the front, whatever they want to, can say count off, and everybody counts their number. The one person who's not in line, their job is to sneak up and tap the last person on the shoulder, and when they do, that person is out, and they can't count anymore.
Oh.
And so and then they can join in sneaking and tapping the last person. And one of the things they are allowed to do is walk behind the last person, but you can't turn around.
Oh, wow.
So it's just...
That's got some light as a feather, stiff as a board shit going on.
Yeah, and I was imagining like you're the person at the front of the line and you say count off and you start to hear like it gets shorter and shorter, or being the person at the end of the line and you say your number and you know there's someone behind you but they don't. We would have
Squicky.
totally been into that when we were kids.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit also what this situation in the dungeon is like, right? Because it's like you know how many of you there are,
Yep.
and then you see eyes in the dark, and then there's one less.
Yep. And there's nothing you can do against it. They're probably like, I didn't hear Sauron chaining them up or anything. Like, they're probably huddled. They're probably trying to protect each other. They're failing. That's gotta suck.
Yeah.
Poor Baron.
Yeah, they're not chained up at all.
So
They're just in the pit.
To recap his mission of fetching a Silmaril, he wandered into his dad's friend's country, got out of there with 10 companions, immediately was set upon by Sauron because their disguise was good, but their behavior was crap. And now they're in a dungeon getting eaten one by one.
Yep.
Sigh.
So it's going great for Baron.
Going good job, buddy. Good job.
Like, seriously, once again, the people in the Silmarillion who have power just have no common sense.
None. It's not even just the Valar. It's everybody.
It's everybody.
It's everybody.
In the time when Sauron cast Baron into the pit, a weight of horror came upon Lúthien's heart. And going to Melian for counsel, she learned that Baron lay in the dungeons of Tol in Gaurhoth, without hope of rescue. How did Melian know that?
Melian's a fucking goddess.
Right,
Melian
okay.
does everything.
It must be frustrating to be a goddess and be married to a dude and it's all going great, and then he does something so stupid, and you're just like, honey.
Oh, we're so fucked.
Yeah, it's been 500 years. Why did you just do this now? Like,
why would you do this? Oh, you have no idea what you have unleashed.
Then Lúthien, perceiving that no help would come from any other on earth, resolved to fly from Doriath and come herself to him. But she sought the aid of Daeron, and he betrayed her purpose to the king. God damn it, Darren. I know his name does not pronounce Darren, but it's Darren now.
God damn it, Darren. What the hell is wrong with you, Darren?
Then Thingol was filled with fear and wonder, and because he would not deprive Lúthien of the lights of heaven, lest she fail and fade, and yet would restrain her, he caused a house to be built from which she should not escape. And this wasn't the point where he went, maybe I'm wrong?
Nope.
Not far from the gates of Menegroth stood the greatest of all the trees in the forest of Neldoreth, and that was a beech forest in the northern half of the kingdom. This mighty beech was named Hirelorn, and it had 3 trunks, equal in girth, smooth in rind, and exceeding tall. No branches grew from them for a great height above the ground. Far aloft, between the shafts of Hirelorn, a wooden house was built, and there Lúthien was made to dwell, and the ladders were taken away and guarded, save only when the servants of Thingol brought her such things as she needed. It is told in the Lay of Leithian how she escaped from the house of Hirelorn. For she put forth her arts of enchantment and caused her hair to grow to great length, and of it she wove a dark robe that wrapped her beauty like a shadow, and it was laden with a spell of sleep. Of the strands that remained she twined a rope, and she let it down from her window, and as the ends swayed above the guards that sat beneath the tree, they fell into a deep slumber.
Take note, Rapunzel.
Yeah, I'm saying. That's how you do it. Then Lúthien climbed from her prison, and shrouded in her shadowy cloak, she escaped from all eyes and vanished out of Doriath. That is so badass, but also that cloak sounds so uncomfortable.
Woven of hair? Yeah.
Woven of hair, yes.
But you know that if she has the magic to make it a fucking invisibility sleeping magic cloak, she also has the ability to make it comfortable.
That's true. And elf hair is probably nicer than human hair for weaving with.
Like Angora rabbits.
Have you seen a picture of an Angora rabbit that hasn't been sheared in a while? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So super fine hair, and she just, oh god, it's such a, it's refreshing that it's ass kicking without in any way being masculine. Is that the word I'm looking for? Because I'm accustomed to, like, you know, if a girl's got power, she's got to act like a dude, and no, she's using song and weaving, and she's gonna get her way, and she's going to kick all the ass. Like,
Yep. It's a different kind of power, but not a lesser kind of power.
and putting her guards to sleep is about the most gentle and, like, unconfrontational. Like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, we're not fighting. You're just gonna go to sleep, and I'm just gonna leave. Bye.
Yep, not an issue. No drama.
Yeah.
My daddy did what?
All right. Well, on
And
that
it's like,
note,
if he had been like, okay, I get it. You need to go. I'll send a battalion of men with you. They would have all immediately just gotten eaten. She
I
needs
was
to
gonna
be
say
on
that
her
wouldn't have
own.
done any good. Yeah, no,
Cramp her style.
it's true. They would just end up in the pit with the werewolf,
With the fucking werewolf.
which, yeah. Well, I'm gonna go and do stuff, but next week we will continue, and I'm excited for Luthien to be a badass.
Right? Likewise. It's good to be back. I hope Baron
Good to be
doesn't get eaten.
Fingers crossed.
Kind of think he won't.
I mean, it would be a pretty anticlimactic end to this chapter. And when
No,
Luthien got there, it turned out Baron had been eaten by a werewolf the day before. The end.
she'd have him cough him up. she would sing the song of vomiting.
Just pull a little Red Riding Hood.
Yep. Ah, glorious. All right. Cuidado.
Diamas.
I love you.
Love you too.